Get over here!
Speaking of...
Get.
Speaking of sweets...
I was like, are you hungry, man? I'll get you food.
Okay, you want to know what it is? I was, like, reviewing my... I was reviewing the countdown of, top 10 desert levels, and I think one of my favorite moments is when everyone in the chat realized that everyone from Solm is named after sweets.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Which was a recreation of, like, us, I think, during one of the Fire Emblem episodes being like...
Oh, like, when...
Hey, everybody from this country is named after flowers, and everybody from this country is precious stones. What's going on with Solm?
The moment...
And we were,
like,
tiramisu!
The moment you realized, or the moment you reacted to me realizing that Tamara was tiramisu is one of my favorite moments ever that we've shared in a playthrough.
That was
because
really...
that was just like... That was just like a eureka moment, and the reactions we had were so unbelievably genuine.
Like, do you remember how old you were when you realized that all the Saiyans were named after vegetables?
Oh, the Saiyans?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Can you remember the moment that it like clicked into place, and you were like, and you were either like, that's amazing, or you're like, oh my god.
I think that I think I actually realized that in high school. Because, like, oh, Planet Vegeta, oh,
Yeah.
it's vegetable. Kakarot's carrot, I'm trying to think of the others. And for some reason...
Raditz.
Yeah, Raditz, which is radishes. Nappa, what's Nappa?
That's a good question, but Broly is broccoli.
Yeah, Broly is broccoli. Then there's Bardock. Oh, man, like, now I'm wondering about this.
Wait. Nappa... DBZ...
Vegetable.
Name meaning... Okay, so Nappa comes from a Japanese term, but it refers to, but it refers to, like, leafy greens, like cabbage and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. What about Bardock?
Bardock... Also kind of from a more Japanese name for a certain kind of root vegetable, burdock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, like, you look at the other conventions, and, like, you know, Frieza's race is named after, like, cooling appliances.
Frieza and Cooler.
And King Cold.
Yeah.
The Namekians, a lot of them are named after, like, musical instruments.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Piccolo.
Can't remember any...
Although, like
Dende? Like, is Dende...
I don't know about Dende. Like, again, this is just me speculating. And then there's that one Namekian, like, named Lord Slug. But, like, that's just straightforward Lord Slug, for some reason.
Wait. Sorry, I'm searching the wiki now.
Nah, you're good.
Okay, because there were Namekians apparently named Piano, named Tambourine, which is a tambourine.
Right.
Shinbaru, which is a cymbal. Doramu, which is drum. I guess there was one named Ukulele.
Okay, so they were actually instruments.
Yeah.
See, like, I was just speculating, and it was purely because of Piccolo.
But okay, so those were a lot of the Namekians. So some of the Namekians do that, but when they're on Namek, all of the names are words for slugs or snails.
Oh, okay.
So, like, Dende is the Dendenmushi, which is a Japanese word for snail. And Lord Slug, and there was a guy named Eska, which is escargot.
Oh.
There's another guy named Escart. There's another guy named Fargo, which is escargot. Shale, which is like shell and snail put together. There's a guy named Monato, which is off of an ammonite.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorites is there's a scientist named Bibbidi. He makes a clone of himself named Bobbity, and that guy makes Boo.
Yep, I remember that one.
And I think Bulma just means panties. So
yeah, like Bulma's family is named after different like underwear.
Right, all of
like,
them are. Yeah.
Yeah, Bulma, which is like Bulma is a play on the word bra because in Japanese it's pronounced bra.
Oh, okay.
And then there's Trunks, obviously.
Yeah.
Trunks. I don't remember what her dad's name is.
No, but I do remember he followed that. I can see his face. I can hear the scenes from DBZ abridged of him being like, "Now, honey, I don't see a beer with that sandwich."
Oh my god, yeah.
And then there were the cyborgs, who were numbers.
Yeah.
Easiest of all.
16, 17, 18.
I've done that a lot with like, when I'm DMing, when I need NPCs. Usually, if I, like, need a bunch of them really quick and they're all from the same place, they usually have a theme.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about, like, how that tends to be a really good way of nice, Gilliam. That's just, like, a really good way to, like, establish a sort of, like, if you need a quick culture, to, like, establish, like, something around, like, an area, then that's, like, a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
Nice, Vanessa.
Something I like to do with gnomes in my D&D world, in their lore. I think I got this out of, like, a 3.5 handbook.
Gilliam!
Gilliam's doing great.
Dude, you can true defend the shadow shots? No way! For some reason, I thought that was purely for, physical attacks.
Yeah, and this guy can't damage him with a brave bow.
I will say, though, I'm not liking how much damage that potential shadow shot can do to Gilliam.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to back you the hell up.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm gonna have these two blokes come to us.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this works.
So in one of the 3.5, I think in the 3.5 player's handbook, it said something about gnome naming conventions, where it's that gnomes don't have, yikes, gnomes don't have a given name. They have dozens of given names, where, like, you might have a name that you go by that, like, your father calls you, and another one that your mother calls you, and another that your sibling calls you, and neighbors. Like, every two gnomes have, like, different names for each other. Could use to fortify. So when gnomes go out into when gnomes go out into mixed society and they just need a name to use while they're abroad, they'll usually create a name out of some of their favorite names that people call them.
Joe is actually utilizing that in a couple of his campaigns for certain characters that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
The professor at one of the schools of magic has, like, a name that's so long because he's, like, collected names from, like, other places that, like, he really, really liked, and so his name just kept on getting longer and longer.
Yeah, it's a gnome thing. So, like, you'll have gnomes named, like, Yublin, Billybog, Plim, Bloppo, Howard, and stuff like that. Like, a lot of our gnomes are carrying 4 names. I forget what was I talking about? Naming conventions for NPCs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's a point where... So right now in the one campaign that I'm in, this is the campaign where we rotate who the DM is.
Yeah.
Our Paladins campaign. The last major arc we've been at something called the Balba Games, because Balba is the god of victory in this D&D setting, and it's essentially the Olympics. So they've been entering in a bunch of different events, and then one of the events was was chess. Actually, it was called Phaedra. But the idea of it was that gnomes, aren't a super athletic race, but they really love board games, and they, after years of campaigning for it, have gotten chess recognized as an Olympic sport, basically. So I had to make this tournament bracket for the one player who was in the chess tournament. And going with the theme, it was mostly gnomes in this competition because it's their favorite sport. Mm-hmm. So I had to just make a whole bunch of gnome names, and it was really fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And we had a gnome named Pseudolus Nimbus, and we had a gnome named Shmikus Mikus, and we had a gnome named Two Shoe Squigglebelt, and we had
I love it.
There's one who's a gnome brawler, who his full name is Connor Boomkick Got Your Nose McGregor or something like that.
Lord, I love it.
And he just trash talks everybody.
One of these days, I'm gonna get that campaign that I have planned going, and I'm going to have a bunch of Spanish names ready.
For the Mithlan one?
I still want to get that going. I just have not had a chance to do so at all.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy summer for the both of us, if I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Life comes at you fast, and D&D is very long.
Mm-hmm.
Life is short, and D&D is long.
Alright, so I think we have this situation pretty much handled for the most part.
Oh, now I remember why I wanted to talk about gnomes, because, so for the one-shot, which turned into a 3-shot because I underestimated how long it would take to do things, but I did for some new players. One of the aspects of it was that there was a party of gnomes who had come into these caves before them. So they were 5 gnomish siblings, and their names were Whisker, Wicker, Whistle, Whisper, and Whittle.
Huh!
And each of them were a different class. So Whisker was the oldest and had a big mustache, so that's why he was Whisker, and he was a cleric. And then Whittle was a druid, because, wood, whittle.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, Wicker. Wicker, wood, druid. And then Whisper was a rogue, and Whistle was a bard. And then the youngest one was Whittle, but they met him last because he was captured. But he was in fact not a gnome, but a Goliath who was adopted by the gnomes.
Aww.
And he was the youngest, and his name was Whittle because he's the whittlest. And he was a Goliath barbarian.
Oh, that tickles me. I love it. Oh, speaking of Whisper. So going back to the Sonic conversation, right?
Yep.
You were talking about how it would be cool to in your Sonic Colors playthrough, right?
Yeah.
How it would be cool to implement some of the characters from the comics.
Like Tingle and Whisper.
I was yesterday years old when someone told me that apparently Whisper is a reference to the Metal Gear Solid series.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a second. Is she just quiet?
Yeah, because in her backstory, this was revealed mainly. They mentioned it a little bit, but then she and Tangle got a mini series.
Right, I remember this.
And you find out about her backstory when she used to have a whole team of rebels that she was with, and they were called the Diamond Cutters, which is a play off of the Diamond Dogs from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh wow.
And there's the bad guy of this series is a member of that team who betrayed them, and he's an octopus named Mimic who can turn into people.
Oh, decoy octopus!
He's a decoy octopus.
Oh my god!
And while her name is Whisper, which is a reference to quiet, she is also a sniper and a wolf.
Yes! Yes! Gosh darn it! Oh my god. What? How did I not How did I not notice that before?
Yeah, they were being really cheeky with that.
They hid that pretty darn well, I am going to say.
Which the rest of the group isn't, like, particular. Like, it's not like they had, like, a Vulcan Raven or a, heaven forbid, a solid snake.
Okay, so these two have killer axes. I want to take them out now.
Yeah.
I'm sparing nothing here.
I mean, we only got one more board after this.
Yeah.
I want to say, I recently played Metal Gear Solids 2 and 3.
Yeah?
For the first time. Metal Gear Solid 2, like, okay, kind of like difficult to get through, like not great quality of life, but I appreciate how it, like, you know, makes you be really deliberate with your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Gear Solid 3 slaps.
Absolutely.
That's a great game.
Still, in my opinion, one of the greatest games of all time. Like, bar none. Is it rough around the edges in certain areas? Absolutely it is. But it's that roughness that kind of also has its own weird charm to it.
Yeah.
If I may be so bold in saying.
Because I think you... Like, yeah, it doesn't have a lot of quality of life stuff that we'd expect in the modern day of gaming, but it's because it's a game you're supposed to do slowly and tactfully, and you're supposed to, like... It's not supposed to be easy to aim and shoot somebody in the head. It's supposed to be something that, like, you sit there for a minute thinking about how you're gonna do, and then you have one shot to, like, do it correctly before you blow your cover and everybody's running at you.
I have to ask, and I remember you mentioned this, right?
Yeah.
How proud did you feel beating the end?
Yes, I did beat the end fair and square.
Like, you did it legit. And, like, that, I'm just gonna say right now, that is something to be proud of, because that is not an easy fight.
Because I did, like, hit a wall where I was like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? For the first, like... It probably took me, like, an hour and a half to do.
Honestly, that's about average.
Yeah.
For anyone playing Metal Gear Solid 3 for the first time, that fight will legitimately take you over an hour to beat.
Yeah.
It is not an easy fight.
And then I did eventually kind of learn how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the funny thing about it is you'll pretty much never die as long as you keep getting food and, like, remove the tranquilizers when he shoots you.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really aiming to kill you. It's just like, are you going to have the patience to get through this, or are you going to wimp out and set the system's clock ahead a week?
Additionally, like, it's not a situation that a lot of people are going to run into, but if you dawdle in that fight too much, it actually can get to a point where you actually might start getting low on resources. So those, once that happens, because, like, most of the people who get to that point are like, oh yeah, I've already captured all these animals, I've already captured all this food, I got the resources I need, I'm fine here. Anyone who has not done that does actually run the risk of running out of materials or, like, you know, resources when they get to that point, to which the tranquilizers start to actually become a situation.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen often. Especially if you're not playing, like, in, like, you know, the harder difficulties. In harder difficulties, the end is, like, insanely tough.
I was playing it on normal, so I mean...
Yeah, you were playing it, yeah.
Could be a lot worse.
No, in hard mode, and, like, I think there's, like, a level after that, no, he gets absolutely tough. Especially if you're, like... Especially if you're the type of player who's, like, gonna try and, go for
non-lethal kills?
Go for, like, Fox ranking.
Yeah.
Because, like, there is a ranking system in Metal Gear, and, like, if you're trying to be non-lethal, if you're trying to be, like, stealthy, if you're trying to, like, play the game in the most efficient way possible, the end is a run killer if you're going for Fox rank.
That makes sense. So I got... Because, like, pretty much everything in that game, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, and that's the entire point. Nice, Molder!
So I was doing the directional microphone a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I did the directional microphone and then just, like, good camo, and I just, like, went through the environment very, very slowly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is one way to do it. See, that's kind of cool, too, because the way I handled it, I used the thermo camera.
Yeah, cool.
The thing is, like, that also made things a little bit difficult.
That didn't occur to me.
Yeah, well, the thing is like, he actually does have methods of, like, you know, camouflaging even his, like, thermo.
Okay.
Like, his temperature. Like, if he's standing still long enough, it will get to a point where he can regulate his body temperature to the point where he actually can hide from you even with the thermal camera.
Wow.
If you reach him if you actually approach him and force him to move, you can actually chase him down with the thermal camera.
And luckily I got to a point where I was, like, close enough to him, and I sniped him a couple times, and then I just, like, ran after him, and I was able to get, like, through half his health bar by just, like, finding him every time he tried to get away. Because then I turned on my motion sensor thing, so that was able to... The problem with the motion sensor is it reacts to snakes and goats and birds.
Oh, speaking of birds, that's another way you can do it. If you can capture his parrot, he will get very flustered.
Yeah, I never even saw the parrot, let alone.
No, like, it's tough because, like, if you find the parrot alone, chances are he has your sights on you. Or he has his sights on you, because, the parrot basically acts as a spotter.
Yeah, so, like, because I know he falls asleep sometimes, and then the parrot wakes him up when it sees you.
Yes.
Because I caught him more than a few times sleeping with my microphone.
No, like, the end is such a ingenious boss design, especially for that time when intuitive bosses like that were a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
So, like, seeing it implemented in such a way, especially for a game as open-ended as Metal Gear Solid, is such an accomplishment.
The thing I can say about all of the Metal Gear games I've played, including the two MSX ones...
Oh, more power to you, brother. Like, seriously.
All of them are games where the enemy has a lot of BS that you have to deal with, and you just have to learn your own BS to do back to them.
Extremely.
Because they are exploiting the game design against you, so you have to exploit it back.
And yeah, I think Metal Gear Solid 3 has, like, some of the best examples of that, because there are multiple ways, like, as you say, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. There are multiple ways to kill a cobra.
It took me a long time to beat the boss, actually, because up until that point, I did not really understand how CQC worked. I thought I did, and I didn't.
Yeah, no, the boss is tough. Absolutely tough.
And then once I figured out how to use CQC in this fight, then I was able to make progress.
Which is really cool, too, because it's like, that just works thematically. Because it's like, oh yeah, like, you're using CQC against the boss who taught Snake CQC, so it's like, yeah, you've gotten to the point where you have to basically pick up the mantle, take up the torch, beat the boss at her own game.
That definitely seems like the most, like, narratively appropriate way to...
Yeah, especially because, like, in that boss fight in particular, the boss more or less forces you into that strategy. Like, there will be moments where, like, she, like, declares, "Here I come." There's nothing stopping her from, like, approaching you unless you, like, catch her in a trap or something.
Yeah.
Like, one trick I remember using during one of my playthroughs is, claymores.
Yeah,
like,
I thought about that.
If you can keep an eye on her and, like, keep a claymore between her and yourself, she will run into the claymore.
I was trying to... I had my camouflage up to, like, 90 because I managed to get, like, the Arctic camo and stuff that blends into the flowers there. So I was pretty good at getting away from her, and then I was trying to snipe her to death, but I kept running out of time because the bombers are coming in.
Yeah, that's the other thing about that fight is, like, you're on a time limit, so, like, unless your strategy involves, like, a little bit more, you know, paced, yeah, you gotta, like, you're gonna be forced into her strategy.
Yeah.
Which is just super cool to me.
And the only other one that really gave me trouble was the fist fight with Volgin. Took me a little while to decide what I wanted to do.
Yeah, Volgin's pretty tough for a boss.
Yeah. The fear wasn't so bad, the fury wasn't so bad, the pain wasn't so bad. I didn't kill very many people, so the sorrow wasn't so bad. Yeah,
if you're careful about how you go about it, the sorrow is, like, absolutely easy, especially if you don't have a high kill count.
the Revolver Ocelot boss fight towards the beginning is really cool.
I love the fight against Ocelot.
I think that's my favorite boss fight in the game.
I was actually gonna say, like, that might be, like, my personal favorite's the boss, obviously, but no, like, definitely up there is the duel against Major Ocelot. Super cool fight.
And I think Ocelot's now my second favorite character in the series.
Yeah.
And my first is Otacon. Because I don't know why, but I just like really relate to the sidekick nerd who's telling the player character what to do.
You really like the guy in the chair characters.
I do like the guys in the chairs.
Would you say that applies to characters like Jarvis?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I like AI characters a lot too.
So Jarvis and by extension Vision.
Yeah. I didn't like how Vision was in the MCU in Age of Ultron, because it just, like, felt like his introduction was very rushed.
I can understand that.
But then we got to flesh him out more in Civil War, and after Civil War, I was like, okay, I really like this guy.
And then there was the series WandaVision, right?
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good.
Civil War has the best, like, reintroduction to Vision, where it's after Wanda accidentally blew up the one building, and they're back at Avengers HQ, and she's in her room, and her and Cap are having, like, a quiet conversation where he's trying to console her, but she just feels so bad. And Vision walks through the wall and is like, Wanda, dinner's ready, and they're like, Vision, we talked about this. And he's like, oh, the door was open. Why does it matter? Okay.
Yeah, no, like, they really did a good job with Vision and Jarvis.
They do a callback to that scene then in WandaVision, because there's a flashback to him consoling Wanda after Quicksilver dies.
Oh, yeah.
In Age of Ultron. And she's, like, watching, because you find out, like, her big comfort thing was, like, old American sitcoms. So she's watching, like, Malcolm in the Middle, and it's a scene where, like, the dad's trying to fix a shed, and the shed, like, collapses on top of him. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Sorts of things, and Vision's, like, sees her laugh, and then also laughs, and is like, is it funny because he's just suffered bodily harm?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
And Wanda explains to him, like, no, it's funny because you know he's okay. And he's like, ah. He's like,
yeah, that's true.
That seems unlikely given the situation. And she's like, no, it's okay because it's a sitcom. Like, in TV, everything always works out. And that's, like, her sad thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, Wanda's a character who's had a lot of stuff taken away from her.
Kind of reminds me of, like, Christ almighty, Tomahawk and Brave Axe. Gotta keep that in mind. Kind of reminds me of how they handled, what was it? Or not so much how they handled, but it's like, it's slapstick logic.
Yeah.
Like, you look at old cartoons, and you look at Tom and Jerry, and, like, the Looney Tunes, and, like, people get hurt in those cartoons all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a cartoon. They're gonna be fine.
Yeah. It's like, does SpongeBob actually have stretchy powers? Like, no, but he's invulnerable because it's a cartoon.
Yeah. Cartoon logic, as it were. That's why we were talking about Popeye earlier.
Yeah.
Short Spear. I'm actually gonna send the Mend back, because I might give that to, Vanessa right the heck now, as a matter of fact. Because she needs it.
One of the best guys in the chair characters of all time, Wade from Kim Possible.
Oh, absolutely.
The guy who exclusively lived in his room for like 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm. And then when he finally does come out of his room, holy crap, it's a big moment.
Yeah.
Like Ron is like when he finally shows up, he's like, okay, dude, you are so done now. I don't even want to stand near you. Way to perfect the hologram projector, Wade. It's really me, Ron. Oh, yeah? Well, if it's you, then could I do that?
And Wade, like, Yeah, like, Wade comes out and is, like, a badass because he, like, wants to get back at the guy who wrecked his computer or something like that.
It was those agents who, like, were complaining about Kim taking all of their jobs, and, like, they were the ones charging for, like, all the heroics and everything, while Kim was like, you know, oh, yeah, I do this just because it's the right thing to do. And then it's like, you know, Wade comes in and is, like, uses, yeah, that's right. He uses the same technology that the one dude used to protect his what was those stuffed animals that they were super into? Cuddle buddies.
Yeah, the cuddle buddies.
Yeah,
they were like the Beanie Babies of that world.
Yeah, he used that laser grid to protect it, and then they got stuck, and Kim, with her gymnastics, was able to save them. Wade used that same laser grid technology to humble those agents, and oh, that's right. Team Impossible is what they were called. And he was like, it is possible that Team Impossible could have been fried.
Yeah. Because they'd have a few, like, plays on it for a while of, like, Wade would show up, but it was a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, one time Ron has to go do something and Wade's like, oh, don't worry, I'll meet you there. But then it's, like, a robot with, like, a TV screen with Wade on it.
One moment I remember specifically is the Mother's Day episode where Kim was, like, talking to Wade, and Wade looked like he was at the beach, and Kim was like, are you at the beach? And he was like, and soak up all those UVs? Heck no, this is a simulator.
Yeah. And then I think in season 5, Wade started just, like, showing up places.
After the situation with Team Impossible, he was just like, screw it, I'm out here now, I might as well go ahead and, like, you know, reap the benefits of being an outdoorsman now.
Yeah, the Band-Aid was ripped off.
He might as well.
There's one about him crushing on Kim's friend Monique.
Yeah, that was an interesting episode. How old was Wade? He was younger than the others, that's the thing.
Yeah, I picture it kind of like, I think Kim and Ron by that point were like high school seniors, and Wade was maybe a high school freshman.
I think so.
If we're like being charitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
There was the one where they're playing the MMO, so Wade shows up there as a wizard.
That's right.
Because he can go in there because it's the MMO, it's just his character.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's the one where Kim needs to investigate like a Rumble Robots like tournament scenario. You know, where people build like the little robots on wheels with the hammers that crush each other. And Kim's like, oh, I can't go in unless I am like competing. And Wade's like, oh, don't worry about it. Just put the phone on the ground. The phone like grows little wheels and like...
Yup. Oh yeah, and it's like a little wheeled cell phone car, and it turns out to be the most badass like,
beats
thing
everybody.
Ever.
Kim's like, could this phone always do that? And Wade's like, you think I'd give you a phone that couldn't?
Oh man. Yeah, in case any of our audience was now wondering, yes, we were both fans of Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Kind of still are. I still think that show's great.
I used to dream about being a hacker like Wade and just being able to get into that.
Oh hell yeah.
Little did I know that hacking isn't like high octane, like typing quickly to get in at the moment. It's like several nights of no sleep perfecting a code. And then you plug it in and it's done.
Yeah, like hacking is like just all programming.
Hacking isn't happening at the moment that you're getting in.
No, it is not.
It's the nights beforehand where you're making the thing that hacks.
That moment when Wade just does like a little meditation pose before he starts going at the keys, and suddenly, yep, I'm in.
My favorite is Kim's like, hey Wade, do you think you can get us into the whatever, the secret securities mainframe? And he's like, oh, I don't know, Kim. It's a highly sophisticated and got it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Kim Possible was a great show. Amber's also a big fan. So she and I shared some nice conversations of like, you know, what were some of our favorite episodes and everything.
Yeah, any episode where Wade really got to do stuff was one of my favorites.
Man, like, I remember we were talking about Cartoon Network shows and, like, Nickelodeon shows that we were into. What were some of your favorite Disney shows? Obviously, like, there was Kim Possible.
Yeah, there was Kim Possible. I was a little too old for it at the time, but I did watch a lot of Lilo and Stitch, the series.
Lilo and Stitch series was alright.
It was cute.
I remember watching the movie.
It was kind of hokey, but...
Yeah, I remember watching the movie that started it all, and that was, like, when they met that one alien that was, like, super, like, electric.
Yeah.
And, like, they eventually made it so that, like, he would power the lighthouse, and then, like, that kind of kickstarted the whole series of, like...
You gotta find where each one belongs.
Yeah, anytime they found an alien, they did the thing where it's like, oh yeah, like, let's find him a purpose type of thing. And they never could find and then they could never find a true purpose for the sandwich guy.
They do in the, like, movie that is, like, the series finale. And part of it, because he was called 625 and he was the bad guy's, like, little crony.
Yeah.
And they just kept his experiment name through the whole series 625. But in the movie, at one point, Lilo has to work with him and she does give him a name. Which they name him Reuben because he loves sandwiches.
Oh my god. Of course they call him Reuben.
Yeah. Because I think his thing was like... Yeah, he was the one right before Stitch, because Stitch is 626.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got all the powers of Stitch, plus more... plus a more advanced, like, speech system, which is why he's able to speak in more, like, full sentences than Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
But that also created the counter effect of making him, like, more lazy somehow.
Yeah.
So he just, like... He was considered a failure because Jumbo wanted him to, like... Wanted his experiments to, like, cause terror and destroy worlds, and he just, like, wanted to hang out.
Yeah, he just wanted to eat his sandwich, man.
Yeah. And that wasn't, like, he wasn't designed to love sandwiches. That was just, like, a hobby he'd picked up. He really liked sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, I think the end of the movie, like, he was offering the big bad, and he was like, no, I don't want a sandwich. Unless you have egg salad. Nope, only cheese.
Yeah. But I think Kim Possible was the big one on Disney Channel.
Same. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, other Disney shows that I might have watched, but, like, most of the other ones, didn't really do it for me as much as Kim Possible did. I did enjoy The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody for a good while.
I completely missed that show. I did not interact with that show at all.
That one was really funny to me. Like, it was something that Leslie and I, my sister, always, like, shared in because, like, we both loved the show.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of good moments. A lot of it, honestly, okay, I loved it just for the hijinks, like, back then, and it was an entertaining show. I love it now purely because of Mosby.
Mosby's the front of staff, the head of...
He's the manager of...
That's it.
Yeah, he's the manager of the hotel, and he's, like, the most mimetic character in the entire show. A lot of people will remember the meme of any time what's it called? When, Rich Girl...
London.
London, yeah.
Why do I know that? I didn't watch the show. I didn't even watch the show. What is wrong with me? Okay, sorry, go on.
But yeah, London was talking about the Prindle when she was, like, trying to learn how to drive, and she's, like, telling Mosby to calm down because she doesn't know, and he's like, oh, sure, let's calm down. Why don't we relax and turn on the radio? Would you like am or f?
Like AM or FM?
Yep. Another great moment is when Mosby has a situation where he has a performer coming in from Japan.
Okay.
And, like, he is tasking the boys to essentially make sure that, you know, she doesn't go anywhere and, like, you know, she doesn't wander up because she has a tendency to be like, oh, I just want to kind of have fun and, like, I want to explore because, like, I don't want to deal with, like, the rigidity of my job and everything. And eventually, they go to, like, Zack, being the mischief maker that he is like, hey, how cool would it be if I showed everyone at school that I'm friends with a famous Japanese singer? They go to the school, and they lose her. So, Mosby comes in, and he's like, Zack? Cody? Where is Kamiko? Do you promise not to get mad? I promise. Zack lost her at school. He screams into a pot. Ah! How do you lose a woman? You forget to cherish her. Oh! And it's just moments Mosby has like so many moments like that throughout the entire show.
I feel like he was I feel like he was modeled off of the butler from Fresh Prince. You know the one I'm talking about?
In a way,
bit.
yeah. The Fresh Prince or the nanny?
No, the Fresh Prince.
The Fresh Prince, right?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, because there's also the butler from the nanny, and he was chock full of sarcasm.
You know what? Yeah, same kind of character.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, he apparently, like, absolutely despised that one lady. And he just, like, had a quip for every time she showed up.
Yeah.
I love that guy. What was his name? Now that I think about
know. So the reason why I knew her name was London on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is I don't know if you've ever noticed the joke before, but it's, because it takes place in, what, the Tifton Hotel?
Yeah.
But which is a play off of the real-world Hilton Hotels brand.
Yes.
And, the super-rich owners of the Hilton Hotel have a very famous daughter, Paris Hilton. Paris. So she's the daughter of the Tifton Hotel owners.
And then there's London Tipton.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she is a play on Paris Hilton.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty good, actually. I'll admit that. Alright, so yeah, we're pretty much done here. I think, yeah, Garrick's gonna eat this guy for breakfast. Maybe.
Oh, and there was the Proud Family. Proud Family had...
I never got into the Proud Family, shockingly enough.
I would see parts of it from time to time. It's pretty funny.
Like, I caught episodes of it every now and again, but it was never something that really appealed to me personally. But I also know Leslie loved the show. And, like, obviously, like, that was one of the shows where everyone was like, oh, yeah, Oscar, like, Oscar Proud, you know?
Oh, his name was Oscar.
Yeah, so, like, that was one thing that, like, some of my friends, a lot of Leslie's friends really like to, like, you know, poke fun at me at,
maybe like, the fourth most famous Oscar.
Exactly, so it's like, yeah, they refer to me as Oscar Proud Snacks all the goddamn time.
There you go, okay.
Which, like, you know, I minded back then, because I would, like, yeah, I was a stupid teenager and all that jazz, and I was like, stop making fun of me like that, but no, looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, no, that checks out. I'm fine with this.
The kind of struggle you only know if you grew up in the 90s and were named Doug. Every guy named Doug I know hates that show.
You know what? I cannot blame them. And again, this is coming from me, who had so many mimetic situations with the name Oscar, such as Oscar the Grouch, Oscar Proud, Oscar de la Renta, the fashion designer, Oscar de la Hoya, the famous boxer, the movies, the movie trophy Oscars. There's a lot of instances with Oscar that, like, a lot of people really, really, really like to make fun of me, or, like, you know, like, poke fun, make fun, or have fun with me. Their favorites, as I've mentioned previously on this channel, is Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Okay, I was waiting. I was like, is he not going to say Oscar Mayer Wiener?
Of course I'm going to say that.
Yeah,
you and so many others, like, in high school were part of that.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, looking back now is like, you know what? No, that checks out. I'm fine with it.
It's just because you're full of baloney.
Given the circumstances, what the mother effing...
Yeah. Next time, Dargans.
Sweet Christ almighty.
This is the game saying, like, is nothing gonna stop you? I don't know. Here's 10 dragons.
You know what sucks?
Yeah.
We don't have a chess key. Please tell me one of these gosh darn dragons has a chess key.
No dice.
Hijo de tu madre puta.
And even though we're not gonna use whatever's in the chest, like, don't you wish you could get it?
Yeah, kinda.
It's like, it's there. I want to have it.
We'll see you guys next time. Darn it! Where's Riddick when you need him?
Riddick? Like Chronicles of Riddick?
Rennick.
Oh, Rennick. Okay, I really thought you said Rennick. I was like, where did that come from?
I was so angry I mispronounced it.